welcome back to episode 3 of Girls Lifting Series.
So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit all about the misconceptions about lifting heavy, because we're seeing a lot of things online and we're having a lot of people kind of come in and speak to us about kind of their worries or the kind of ideas that they have about lifting heavy, and a lot of them not true. So we want to kind of lay that out in this episode, kind of break them down a little bit more and kind of give people a better idea of what will happen when they lift heavy.
Men are 30% more likely to participate in resistance training. Some reasons or barriers behind this for women include strength training taking too much time, not wanting to look silly in the gym and getting sore, and also not wanting to look bulky.
So strength training taking too much time, that's the first one. So what we say to people is look at your kind of week schedule. We're all at kind of different stages of life, especially as women. You might have kids, you might have grandkids that you're looking after. How much time have you got in the week to play with, and then build back from there. So if it's 20 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, you know, if you're building the workout yourself, take that into consideration or chat to us about it. So we can look at kind of building a routine to kind of fit that time frame. Supersets are your best friends, so alternating between exercises, picking different muscle groups, building it that way is really important.
Also keeping it really simple. You might even start with 2 or 3 exercises. It doesn't need to be a whole big thing where you're doing 10 plus exercises. There's no need for it. It's not as effective anyway. Keep it nice and simple. Addressing the barrier about not wanting to look silly in the gym. This is a huge one. So as people who have been going to the gym for a long time, the amount of times I go to a new gym, or even I'm in a gym I've been to many times, and I can't figure out how to move the bench or change the machine. So common, it happens all the time.
I think it's such, especially as females, we tend to be like, oh God, like, obviously I don't know how to do this. It's not that. Finicky, I don't even know if finicky is a word, but that's what I say.
Confusing.
Yeah, every exercise has 600 different ways of doing it, and the setups can be different, but everyone in the gym, like we always say, is focusing on their own training, their own strength journey. They're not focusing on what people around them are doing. And if they are, they're probably looking and saying, oh, what's that exercise? I haven't seen it before. I might give it a go. That's, I know personally, if I see someone doing something and I'm watching them in the gym, it's more because I'm curious about the exercise, and we will steal it if it's a good one.
And that you're thinking about yourself the whole time is the same way someone else next to you is thinking about themselves the whole time, and I promise you that is the case. I'm only thinking about myself, about my technique, how much I'm lifting, etc. How does my form look? And the amount of times I have done the weirdest exercises. I promise you I've done the most strange things in the gym. As a sprinter, I have to do very sport-specific things, but not a single person, that's all right, and they work. That's the thing as well.
Everyone that comes in is focused on their own strength journey. And put the blinkers up and just focus on think about less about what's going on around and more about internally. How does this feel in my body? How does my hip feel through this? Do I notice how my knee is tracking? Am I engaging with my lats? Those sorts of things that are the real things we want to focus on, they're going to lead to success.
Within reason as well, technique and form in mind, that kind of thing. There are no rules. You can be as creative as you want.
Okay, so last one we want to talk about is the idea that lifting weights will make you really bulky. It's one that a lot of women have this idea about, which, you know, it's valid. There's a lot of media around it. There's this kind of narrative that, oh, don't lift too much weights, your arms will become massive. But the reality of it is that often the people that have that bodybuilder style physique, that comes down to huge discipline with food and years of compounded training. The lifting heavy that we're talking about is to sustain muscle mass and to build strength for life. So over the age of 30, our muscle mass declines by 3 to 8%, so we're already in a deficit. So lifting heavy is something we're really passionate about, because that is what helps us preserve, and not only preserve, but build muscle mass.
And touching on kind of the word toned as well. So, and we hear it a lot with our clients every day pretty much. I wanted to break that down. So the word toned, we don't love that word. I don't like to use it. I understand why people do and why people gravitate towards that. But at the end of the day, being toned is muscle mass. Using these weights and heavy weights to build muscle mass, at the end of the day, that is kind of that toned word that we kind of use to encompass it. You know that 1 in 5 Australians over the age of 60 have sarcopenia, so low muscle mass. Having the sarcopenia, as we know, is going to expose you to a lot of adverse outcomes. example, falls risk. Having a fall is very detrimental, as we know. Having a fall might cause other adverse outcomes, such as a hip fracture. There's obviously many different risks with falls and sarcopenia in itself, but touching on hip fractures as a main one here, because mortality rates after a hip fracture are just huge, they skyrocket. We want to, build up the strength around the legs, create that stable base around the hips, as Niamh has mentioned in episode 1. Having that stable base before a hip fracture, if it does happen, we're able to bounce back a little bit easier, and we've got that kind of foundation.
It's our strength for life.
Yeah.
So the stronger you are, the stronger you will stay. Your risk of the falls massively reduces, the better you move. And if you're kind of constantly practicing these movements week on week, like your sit to stand, like your lunge, then you have the power in your legs to stop yourself, to catch yourself. And another big issue after a fall is a long lie, but not being able to get up. Getting up, it is our lunge, it is power in your legs. That is how you stay functional as you age. Legs are your powerhouse.
So what actually happens when we lift weights and we lift heavy, we'll start to build that muscle mass, that lean muscle mass, what we're looking for that functionality as we age. In combination with good sleep, fuel and recovery, we are going to set ourselves up really, really well for that healthy aging, for our bone health, for our muscle health, and a myriad of everything else.
So if you're a female who finds yourself thinking, okay, I don't want to look silly, I don't want to look bulky, hopefully we've given you a better insight into those misconceptions around strength training and given you some confidence as a woman to take up space in the gym, because we belong here too.